Hi.
I have been really enjoying the Supernatural Then and Now podcasts.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And I was just wondering how that idea came about and how it's going and what we can hope to see in future episodes.
Yeah. So she's asked me about a podcast that Richard and I do that we host called Supernatural Then and Now, and it's a rewatch podcast. So Richard and I are watching the show for the first time, and every episode we're talking about a new episode of the show in order. We'll be doing this show for the next 15 years, and not a joke.
And so we're going to start with the pilot of Supernatural. So I have to admit something. I watched it just the other day for the first time. And I have been doing the conventions for, 12, 13 years, but I've never watched the pilot. So it made so much sense.
How many episodes?
I was getting texts from Rob last night going, did you know that Jeffrey Dean Morgan was in Supernatural? Like, he's just discovering new elements.
A lot of stuff made sense. I'm like, that's why he comes to the convention sometimes.
It was listening to Rob live tweet the pilot 15 years later. He's like, holy shit, they're brothers.
I watched the show. When is it going to air? When does it launch?
Changes
Does it
the
premiere?
whole dynamic.
Yeah. So we're talking about the pilot and a couple things we need to track as we go for people keeping score.
Yeah.
So this is our first installment of the bitch count.
Right.
We'll be tracking all the bitches and sons of bitches across the entire series because why not?
I think we mean as they are spoken, not the actual person who might be a bitch.
I mean, nobody thought that.
I'm just saying the word bitch. You know what I'm saying, Robbie?
We'll just take the check. Thank you. Okay, so we've got two bitches in this episode.
Rob and Rich.
That's right. All right, let's get into what this episode was about.
All right, Robbie, walk us through it.
The body of a nervous flyer on United Britannia Flight 401 is taken over by an evil black cloud.
Are there any nice black clouds? I dare say no.
None that I know of.
Right.
All the ones that I've met have been downright rude.
Are real jerks. I wonder if Reapers ever get bummed by being classified as grim. Could you be an upbeat Reaper? Hey, here comes that toe-tapping representative of death. Like it's a bad entry to go like, oh, hey, here's a-hole Daryl. Like, you're like, just call me Daryl. I don't, why tack on grim? I already have to take your life.
I'm already the Reaper.
Yeah. Isn't that bad enough?
Feels like a hat on a hat. Sam starts to have nightmares about their childhood home and convinces a reluctant Dean that they need to return to Lawrence, Kansas.
Reluctant Dean is my favorite Dean.
Yeah, it's a pretty solid Dean. Sam and Dean pay a visit to the home of the latest victim. There, they find the handprint of a supernatural being. This triggers a...
Which I might say, it's the handprint of the supernatural being is about a foot long and right on the windowsill. The fact that Dad didn't go, hey, there's a creepy clue right on the windowsill makes me question how careful Dad surveyed the scene.
Yeah, it's the world's largest clue. I mean, it definitely is it's a Scooby-Doo level clue.
Hey, Sammy, get over here. Look what I uncovered.
What do you think this might be? The brothers do their best to stop this killing spree. It all takes a terrifying turn when the shapeshifter morphs into the likeness of Dean himself.
That's terrifying?
Well,
that doesn't say, ooh, I'm scared. It says, yay, bachelorette party.
Well, and part of the episode, too, is the shapeshifter. Turns out the shapeshifter now has gotten into the body of Dean, which is something you've been trying to do for years. Dean and a local girl, Emily, get captured and are ready to be sacrificed.
I don't know if they're ready to be sacrificed.
No, they're not.
They're probably opposed to the idea, I guess.
Try that again. And he comes to, he's locked in a cage. He doesn't know where he is. And there's a guy next to him in another cage who's a real crab apple.
Yeah, I know.
He's so not nice.
When you get abducted, you're like, oh, at least I have somebody to talk to.
Yeah.
And you realize it's that guy. You're like, well, never mind.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Sam is stranded at a bus stop on his way to California and meets Meg. And I'm going, Meg? Is this Meg? Turns out, yeah, it's Meg. She's also making her way to California.
The character's last name was also Meg?
Mm-hmm. Meg. You didn't know that?
Huh.
Later that night, we see Meg murder someone who picked her up hitchhiking.
Oh, my gosh.
She slashes his throat and fills a silver goblet with blood.
Silver goblet? Wait, no, I mean blood.
Is that silver? She recites an incantation to speak with an unknown demon she calls Father. I'm going... This is Meg. This is crazy. I was going, no, wait, what? No. And you know what? Our producer Steve sent us a link today. And he said, if you want to know more about Meg, click this link. And I clicked on it, and it gave me the spoilers. I didn't want to know.
I didn't click on it. I'm not. I don't need the clickbait, Steve.
I'm not going to tell you what I saw, but I saw some stuff, man.
I saw some stuff.
They get a call from Dad, and it's Dad. And Sam's talking, and Dean's going, Sam, give me the phone. Give me the phone. That's an intense scene. And
Yeah.
Sam's going, no, Dad, I'm not going to do what you say to do.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Bad son.
Well, no, it was emotional son. Sam's emotional and tore my heart apart. And Dean's like, let me talk to him. And then Dean does it. Dean's just like the good soldier. Anyway, I digress.
None of that is in our summary.
No,
by the way.
that's just me.
Rob's vamping.
Yeah, I just, look, I'm watching the show and I'm becoming a fan of the show.
I can
Is that
tell.
so wrong?
No.
And the boys survive a scary night in a house with bees to ride off into the sunset, never to be heard from again.
That's not true. The show was on the air for...
Oh, that's right, 15
15 more
seasons. That's right. Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Since I'm watching from the beginning, I didn't know if there was another episode.
Yeah, Rob and I get some guff in the fan mail. We get stacks and stacks of fan mail each week about this podcast.
And we read every one.
And they say, gosh, you guys talk like you haven't seen the show before. That's kind of, insulting. Right. But we only do that because we haven't seen the show before. So you need to know that when we're acting like we've never seen this before, it's not a bit. We haven't seen it before. And I think that makes us a good audience for the show because we're coming to it with fresh eyeballs.
That's right. I literally, you know what I did yesterday with my day, Rich?
What?
I binged Supernatural.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I watched like 5 or 6 episodes.
Yeah, well, that's, it's part of the gig now, Robbie. You can't show up here and not know.
My notes to myself. I don't know if you want to keep doing this. This is notes I was making myself.
And now, Rob Benedict's notes to himself. Notes to himself.
Okay.
That's right.
Sam sleeping with a t-shirt on, please.
Well, how should he sleep?
With it shirtless. He's mother effing Sam Winchester, man. I want to see chest.
Okay, you heard it. You heard it from Rob Benedict. Take off the shirt, Sammy.
Jensen climbing the ladder to whisper in the...
Wearing pants?
No.
Is that annoying?
No, going up the ladder to talk to the scarecrow.
Right.
That was kind of sexy, him and the scarecrow.
Again.
I don't know. I put Jensen with scarecrow, sexy.
Jensen with scarecrow, sexy. So Robbie has a fetish seeing some of his friends get with inanimate objects.
I don't know why it moved me. My third point is...
Which part of you?
You're such a jerk. I'm trying to be honest here. These are my honest reactions.
For starters, you got to love when Dad and the boys are together. Like, it's just good TV.
And not only is it good, it's great acting. There's such great chemistry between those guys. And the testosterone between them. I mean, just the manhood that oozes from the screen when those three are together, huh?
For anybody who's got the stopwatch on how deep into the podcast we get before Rob says the word manhood, you can stop your watches right there. It's a new record. Sigh. But you know what? Here's the thing.
Am I wrong?
No, I mean, you're always right when it comes to manhood, but here's what I'm going to say. So I thought it was really funny when she says at dinner, and you're mildly attractive or, you're and something like that.
You're a reasonably attractive guy.
And he kind of laughs in a way that says, I know I'm hot. Do you know what I'm talking about? He's like, mildly attractive. And I'm like, that doesn't seem very Sam Winchester to be like,
right.
She's like, you're pretty cute yourself. Pretty cute? What are you, blind woman? I'm a freaking god. I felt like it was not a very Sam Winchester moment.
Sam has a whole thing where he's like, don't call me Sammy. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Why don't you give it up, Sammy? There's no way out. Don't call me.
But
you don't really hear that very much. It's like, he doesn't like when people call him Sammy.
I heard her say that. I'm like, well, that didn't become a runner.
No, it really didn't.
Because I mean, Dean goes, Sammy, through it for the next 15 years.
I thought there was a moment that was a thing for a second. That Sam's like, no, it's not, it's Sam.
You can see the writers back in the room watching the cut, like, okay, that didn't work, guys. We're gonna steer clear of that bit. There's one part of that episode that kind of made me chuckle, which was the first scene. It's the gal just kind of walking down this alleyway, headphones on, you know what I mean? And before the first attack. And what I laughed about is this girl is playing a, blasé 20-something hipster walking down the street. Suddenly it's freaking gale force winds blowing what looks like a newspaper factory overturned, and like it's just debris and wind, and she's like doop to doop, la-da-da, whatever.
Yeah.
Gale force winds on another night in Chicago or wherever the hell they are. And it just made me laugh.
I also enjoyed when they're climbing up the elevator shaft.
Oh yeah, it's scary.
But he's like hanging on, doing like a sort of a pull up, listening to her. Except where he kind of pulls himself up with one arm, kind of.
He's like there for 45 minutes, like frozen, holding himself on some old wrought iron. silently.
Silently.
Yeah.
Yeah. At the time, before I knew that it was a trap, I was like, man, Meg has bad hearing.
Yeah,
She
exactly.
doesn't at all. And even when they come back and they like sneak by her. Now, my only critique of the show is the fact that the boys, they survive the night with the bugs. It's pretty horrific. And then they get in their car and they drive away. But we never go, aren't we to assume that every year the bugs will be back at the solstice?
That's up to people in that town.
Screw 'em. Right. So they live through it. So they're like, all right, on to the next. I liked this episode. I don't think it deserves the critique it got.
I concur.
I like it so much that I wrote a song about it, Rich.
Wow.
Yeah.
That inspired.
Yeah, you want to hear it?
I do.
Okay. Let's here's my song I wrote. It's called Bugs.
Good title.
Bugs. Reputation precedes you, Bugs. Your disbelievability needs you. Take my hand, let's go for a ride. Bugs. Get into my head, literally, bugs. Make me feel quite sickly, bugs. What universe are you living in, bugs? A creepy crawly on my skin, bugs. There you go. Yeah. Thoughts?
The part about taking your hand and going along for the ride. Who's
The bugs are taking my hand. I think what I'm saying is, you know what? I'm into it. I'm in for it. Take my hand. Let's go for a ride. I'll believe you, bugs.
You want the bugs to take your hand?
What I'm saying to the episode itself is,
Right.
I'm into you, bugs. Let's go. I'll go for the ride. I'll believe it.
Okay, I don't know how to ask this gingerly. Are you hitting on the episode bugs?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm glad you saw through that to what it really is.
I did. Desperate cry for help.
Yeah.
So I'm watching season 1 truly for the first time, and it's great, you guys. No, I'm serious. It's a good show. You're not wrong. It's really fun. It's really fun, and I honestly had low expectations because people always talk about, well, season 1's like Monster of the Week. Like, it's freaking great. It's great. It's like Pulp Fiction. I love it, and like true Pulp Fiction. And yeah, I'm having a blast. And every episode, yeah, and also, okay, my character Chuck, when he was the writer, had posters of his books on the wall, and so there were posters. There was one that was the Benders, and there's the Scarecrow, and these are posters in his room. And so I'm watching the Benders for the first time, like, oh, it's a family. I didn't know it was a family. It was real people, no ghosts. It's just a family that's real messed up. That's the Benders. You know, and I say that, I've said this before, but like in the second episode when Jensen's like, it's a family business. I'm like, oh, family business. You're gonna start a beer company and name it that. You know, and saving people, hunting things. He says that in the show. I didn't know he said that. He says it in the show. So, you know, and I'm really loving it. I love Dean. Dean is so like kind of Han Solo-y. And Sam is just, you want to hug him, the poor kid. He's had a hard go of it. And what's going on with the dad? I don't know. Where did he go? Why are people burning on the ceiling? I want answers to these questions. So it's fun. And the only spoiler alert for me is that, like, I know that they live until the very end of the show. So in every episode, they almost die. I'm like, you're not gonna die. I know you're not. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see when I show up, what that's gonna feel like. Who's this guy? So it's super fun. So yeah, check it out where you listen to podcasts on your podcast app. Supernatural Then and Now. Thank you very much.
Listen, we're here. We did it. We made it. It's episode 22, season 1, the season finale called Devil's Trap.
A lot of people said we weren't going to last, Robbie. A lot of people said, well, those two won't survive.
I heard the over-under was 6 episodes. we made it to 22.
Unbelievable.